everybody, and welcome to yet another Learning Saturday. In the previous Learning Saturday, you learned about contract management, and if you have missed that video, I'm just linking up in the description box. You must go and watch that video. In that discussion, of the contract management issues, there was one topic which came up again and again, which was risk management. And so we understood that there is a need for creating awareness about risks, and hence this session that we are bringing up to you today on risk management and risk assessment. So we are going to learn today what are risks, what are the different kinds of risks, be that business risks or be that insurable risks, and how in today's date risks are being assessed and mitigated and controlled, not only at enterprise level, not only at program or project level, but actually at individual levels. And we have seen actors and actresses insuring their body parts. And we are also going to learn the equation between risks, uncertainties with the project timeline, and how as the project timeline increases, the degree of the risk come down. So we are going to learn about that concept of how it is inversely proportional, and then we are going to understand what are the qualitative risks analysis that we can do, be that high risks and moderate risks and low risks, and risks that can be categorized as internal risks and external risks. So the external risk could be a credit rating issue, and that could be an foreign exchange issue, or at a strategic level, industry level, customer changes, customer demand changes, and then the competition changes, and then substitute products coming up in the industry, stuff like that. And then in the internal risks, the internal hazards and raw material supply can cause issues, and then manpower can cause issues. And so what are the internal risks that a company has? And then we are going to see at the project level that what are the project risks and how project risk assessment is done. So identification of the risk, and then quantifying the risk, and then responding the risk, and then controlling the risk, and the entire gamut of what learn about the hierarchy of risks, exactly like we have learned the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Exactly in the similar way, we have the hierarchy of risks, whereupon the risks could be at the strategic level, or at program level, or operational level. And we are going to see a little of enterprise level risks, of entity level risks, and then what are the risk strategies and of mitigating risks that we have, like whether a particular risk can be avoided, or they can be transferred, they can be reduced, and if nothing works out, then you have to absorb the risk. And so according to that, an impact matrix that we can draw about risk along with the project objectives, be that the cost of the project, the schedule of the project, or the deliverables of the project. And then finally we'll see that how a quantitative risk analysis can be done with sensitivity analysis or impact analysis, and how in a quantitative terms that we can analyze risks, and then finally form the risk decision tree, from where we get to understand with the probabilities whether to take a risk or not. And finally we are going to learn about the new critical risks that have come up, like the cybersecurity risks. And finally we are going to learn about one risk that is the ultimate risk. Stay tuned for that. Good afternoon, Swarup.
Good afternoon.
A little bit about the trainer today, Mr. Swarup Mukherjee. He's a board level functionary in project management, procurement, and HR. He has worked in various organizations, having over 30 years of experience across diverse industries, including war, metals, mechanical, chemicals, manufacturing, and proven expertise in power plant projects, infrastructure projects, and manufacturing operations. His proven competencies lying in setting up greenfield ventures and turning into operations, into sustainable and profitable operations. And in my previous organization, I had reported into SUP.
Me.
And thank
So
you,
there is.
thanks a lot for taking out
Let us
time.
start. Let us start. Thank you.
Giving us
Thank
the
you. Thank you. Thank
training.
you. I think quite a few people are there. Now, as I generally, I will tell you, this risk management is a very large subject. Large of amount of industries are depending on risk management. Classic example is the entire insurance industry, be it life insurance or general insurance. The whole purpose is risk management. Everybody in their life is always doing the risk management. But here we are delving into project risk management alone. Risk management primarily started, I go into the basic history and origin and development in the first, just for a glimpse of that. So I go to the present now mode. Okay. Scientific idea of risk started with evolution of human being when they stopped seeing everything as event as will of God, but as a cause and effect. Then came the biggest problem of betting. Everybody who had any money started doing betting. And betting is what? Taking the risk that I may win, and same is the lottery. These are all and the lottery company started. And the life insurance company was the first basically authorized company who started doing business based on risk alone. Okay. However, risk took an important space. Business actually changed after World War II, where every destruction has happened. Then the insurance companies and everybody is afraid that everything will be destroyed one fine morning. Somebody will attack somebody. So then the insurance companies took place in a general insurance business. That's called general insurance business. The entire business solvency depends on how much the actuarial calculation they do. Actuarial calculation means that what is the possibility of the multiple risk what they occupy, what is the possibility of those risks maturing and becoming a liability to them. Somebody's mic is on, it is making lot of noise. I'm not sure whose. Please, whoever is that, please mute it, and you can question after opening on that. But these are very preliminary. So slowly everybody started risk analysis. Share market is another basic thing which has started on risk management basis. So all the calculations, everything is going on in the share market across the world handles the risk. And the share market depends on which is more risky than that is called, what is that called? Anybody knows? High beta level of the company and all that. So which is taking more risk, which is more leveraged, all these kind of issues comes in. So thereby the capital structure of a company and the risk it assumes of failure of that business. So the share market goes into that. After that it came the credit rating system. Credit rating goes up to the individual, and then the financial institutions gives you risk, gives you loan. So they calculate what is the risk of giving the loan, and then they decide. So that goes back to the credit rating systems. The entire basic risk management system primarily looked at the financial risk and not really the other type of risk like your health risk and all that, which is becoming predominant now. In this context, I would like to ask a simple question. You know that why the EPC contracting business itself has started? Any idea? One of the idea is very simple matter that the company which is putting up the entire factory do not have the adequate capacity to install that thing, because this is a one-time activity. They are mostly in operation, so they want to take somebody else. But they could have taken help of multiple companies and got it done, but they went into EPC mode. Anybody having idea why people goes into the EPC mode? What is one of our ordained business style? Any idea? Anybody saying anything? Why we want to? If you could share my screen with one of my first articles, are you able to see this? One of the articles which I have, which has been published in CEW, that is Chemical Engineering Works Industrial Magazine at CEW. One of the this one long back, 2011 or something. So that I made on the. I think I will just open my own article, so it is easy to discuss that. The genesis of EPC contract as a primary form of project execution was initiated by project financiers for the risk management consideration of the project. What is that? Any project is made, 70% is financed by the bankers, which is all public money. Any project across anywhere. Practically, there are very few cases where owner's money is put as equity full. That is very, very few cases. Mostly all companies are about 75%, 25% owners contribution, 75% bankers contribution. Ever since the World Bank project and other multinational agencies gained momentum in India, the concept of LSTK contract has taken root as the optimum solution for ensuring achievement of project deliverables without. Basically, let me discuss very briefly. What it happens is, if we take 10 more agencies and start doing this job, what will happen? Nobody is having a financial stake for completing the project. So find out somebody who will having the financial stake in completing the project. So you want. So they found out one person who is having competence, financial muscle, and also financial stake in completing the project, and to see the final result that it produces, the delivered result. So the whole origin of EPC project is coming due to the risk management perspective. I hope that is basically clear on that. So this is all this one.
No. Can you share the document with us?
It is available. It is available in my LinkedIn profile also. You know that.
Okay, fine. Fetch it from there.
These are all some of the published papers are available. This one is also available. Now I go back to the presentation. Okay. Now we discuss this. Now I come to the overall project. First and foremost, I am trying to discuss before we start making the project risk, entire project risk alone. We need to have a basic understanding of the pestle analysis. Most of you may be aware. Being in the project company, you may be aware. This is the basic project environment, what we discussed. What is that called? PESTEL is political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental aspect. Now, one project, this is put on the more visually attractive way. So, what does the project has? It has a scope, it has some stakeholders, it takes some time. It takes some cost, it has the quality, we need to communicate with all, we have to handle the contracts, we have to handle the HSE requirements, and we have to put manpower for getting the all the things executed, and then finally the project has to match the expectations of the stakeholders, which includes the owners as well as those who are working, those who are gaining the benefit of the product and everything. Now the entire risk comes from this project environment. So primarily, we are now focusing not looking at the broader risk, but now looking at what are the project environment and what are the risks thereon. That's why I just put the PESTEL analysis slide in front, so that it is, the context is set. Now this is another basic project conditions what we have. You know that for any project, initially we start. Most of these people, those who are in the project, will understand. Initially the project will start. Then we have to organize and prepare. It takes some manpower, some cost. We go on sinking the cost. Once we start on the execution, we sink further cost on that. And at the closer time, we have our total manpower and all that requirement comes down, and it goes into that. This is a standard cost and resource over different project phases. So these are the project phases, a basic standard the slide which is available for basic understanding of the projects. Now everything on the project risk etc. comes from a Bible called PMBOK. So I just wanted to keep everybody aware that there is a Bible called PMBOK, Project Management Book of Knowledge, that is having everything. So it is you see that basic scopes are divided into so many activities. So I just got into, there is a cost management, integration management, scope management, quality management. There is a risk management. Project risk management comes in PMBOK as a primary chapter on this, which needs to be, everybody need to be aware and need to be clear on this. Unfortunately, most of the project management, those who have gone in, have not studied much of PMBOK. So we need to, so this is a refresher that PMBOK कभी-कभी खोलना चाहिए. PMBOK खोल के देखना पड़ेगा क्या है. Now it says project risk management has got, these are the basic requirement of that. So this is probably, we can take this as a Bible and we can go into the details of that. First is risk management plan should be there. There should be risk identification, qualitative risk analysis, quantitative risk analysis, and risk response planning, and risk monitoring and control. Appears little difficult words, but very simple. First we need to understand what are the risks, then what is the impact of those, and how we intend to tackle those, and how we are going to monitor that we are tackling it properly or not. This is generic process in all cases. In project also you do all these basic things like that only. First you make a planning, and you have the SOR prepared, BOQ prepared, and then go for how do you handle each part of the BOQ. So basically it is like the same way. But most of the time we don't intend to do that. Now this is basic definition. What is a risk? Risk is a discrete occurrence that may affect the project for good or bad. This is a very important thing. Risk is not necessarily very bad. It can be good also. We will come to that. Basically, risk is an uncertain event or condition. If it occurs, has a positive or negative impact. That's what we are saying on the project objective. Risk basically is defined as a function of its likelihood and the impact. That means if it can happen, there is a risk of flooding in certain area, which is on a low-lying area. There is a very high risk, very high likelihood, but impact may be minimal. But there some the little bit of flooding etc., water logging happens. Impact is low, likelihood is high. Calcutta was a situation where there is a likelihood of water logging in various places, but impact is not much. So we are living with the risk in Calcutta for various areas of water logging and all that. Okay. So what is the risk identification process? We have to define all the risks. That what is the process involved, that and document the characteristics of each risk. Flooding hota hai, it comes only in the rainy season for three times a year. Normally it happens. So you likelihood 3 times per year. Impact, maybe 2 days the people will take rainy day and sleep. So much of man-hour is lost. That is the likelihood. So what will happen? Impact of that, probably the project progress will get impacted for 3 days for some reason or the other, because these people will not be going or the things will not happen, something like that. So risk, you need to write it. This is a risk of waterlogging, risk of rainy season, impacting project work and all these kind of things. Now we come to the basic type of risks. What are the basic type of risks? No, if you have specific understanding issue, somebody, not Sarkar Sahab, you are not allowed. Apart from you, others can make a question. Whatever in between, because otherwise probably the link get lost sometimes. Otherwise I'm going on saying business risks. There are basically two types of risk. One is a business risk, another is a pure risk. Mostly pure risks are insurable risks, for which as on time most of the insurance agencies has come up that you pay us some money and we will take the risk. If something happens due to that, we will pay you. That is the situation of insurance. Business risks are based on our estimate. We take up a project, whether the project will ultimately give the result, or we get the output of the project as defined, the ROI will be achieved or not. ROI is return on investment. Whether the investment, whoever the owner makes the investment, you want some return. Whether the return will achieve or not, that will become an issue. Okay. And the other pure risk is, which happens by chance. Various things. Presently what we are going through is a force major risk, which is also an insurable risk. Okay. Now we have to first make qualitative risk analysis. What you told if you go back in the previous slide, what it is saying? First is, one is risk management planning karna chahiye. Then risk identification, then we have to do qualitative risk analysis. Which are the qualities of the risk available? Then you have to quantify that. Okay. Now we told the quantification process, that is likelihood into impact. Now qualitative process is what? We have to first and foremost address each risk and how you are addressing each risk. Okay. Normally we segregate into high risk category, moderate risk category and low risk category. Okay. High risk category is that which is having a substantial impact on cost, schedule, something on that. Moderate risk, moderate impact. Low risk, like I told, waterlogging is a low risk item. It's a risk item. This is not a major high risk item. So these are the three categories. We have to first qualitatively put all the risk and put it, whether it is a high risk category, whether it is a low risk category and all that. Now, this is a basic thing which is for all projects. When the risk is high, how the risk is reducing. Now you need to understand one basic thing. The whole PMBOK and the entire project management system has been made for the project owner and not for the contracting company. Contracting company and EPC company started only to reduce the risk of execution and not the project risk. Project risk is the full case, that whether the project will give the desired result. So at the time of conception of the project, the risk and the uncertainty need to be assessed, and that is very high. But while we start on the execution, if we start executing and then we decide that something or the other, it has become very risky and all that, the cost of change goes up very high. With the project execution stage going up, the cost of change will be very high. So you need to assume the entire risk at the beginning of the project, and then we need to take up the project so that we clearly knowing the risk return, we go down on this project route and we don't change again. If we start changing there, the cost of change is high. In many cases, in most of the not so well thought out projects, the cost of change becomes a very big problem. That is why bankers are always insisting on the proper feasibility reports and the stamp from all the very renowned consultants and all that. So sometime before that, all the power plants, maybe about 10 years back or 15 years back, all the power plants which are coming up without DCPL or TCE stamping, that nobody will fund it. That was the situation, because that is the time when the risk and uncertainty is ascertained at that level and computed. And after that, there should not be increase in the cost of changes. So that is the basic concept, that when the risk and uncertainty, at what phase it is there and what is the impact on that. Now, there is a basic categorization is also driven on two types. Have a look at the slide carefully. There are basically something which are internal, and there are some risks which are external. So the internal elliptical portion is basically showing what is the internal risk, and external is external risk. One is the financial risk is loan ka interest rate बढ़ गया. If we have import cost or the import item on the project, what is the dollar variation, that becomes a problem. What is the country credit rating, it becomes a problem. What is the company credit rating, whether the creditor is able to give whether they are able to give the fund, that becomes a financial risk area. These are all external factors. This is not internal factor. Internal factor is what? Liquidity and cash flow. Now, somewhere internal factor, some project is funding, whether they have the cash flow for funding the project and the liquidity for that. If they have planned some internal inflows, if the inflows are not coming, they get affected on the cash, giving cash to the project, which becomes the financial risk, which is internally driven. On the strategic side, one is the competition. Another is change in customer requirement. That means you are putting up a project of something. Say one fine morning, customer do not want it. Okay. Now somebody is making the tape recorders. Now customer is changed. Customer do not want the tape recorders. So tape recorder factory has got no requirement. And say the competition has taken up, somebody else has taken up. Industry has changed. Customer demand has reduced. All these issues are the strategic external issues. Something new has come up, it has been ruled. Another is M&A requirement. Somebody you are doing for something, then that company goes into another M&A, which is partly internal, partly external. M&A happens like as on time Vedanta is buying out all the shares and trying to delist. Why? Because this market value has gone down so little, and they have that much of cash, they can buy entire thing out and delist. So M&A requirement, what will happen? This is a strategic risk. Internally they are driven, strategic M&A integration. That's what they are doing. Then research and development is always an internally driven thing. After doing something, we change that, okay, something else is required. There is a problem that for doing certain job, we have or do not have the intellectual capability for that. Whenever these are more so in the software requirement, software development type of projects, which is very, very critical for these cases, which actually plays a big role. Without Steve Jobs, probably they could not have made the entire system of the Apple running at that initial phase itself. So there is this intellectual capital which governed. at certain point of time. Some other companies could not probably have done that. Some survived, some didn't survive, like that. Hazard risks are both internally and externally available. Hazard risks are there. Natural events, flood ho gaya, earthquake ho gaya, all these kind of things. Environmental issues. Then we have some suppliers failing. Some contracts refuses to work. All these people will face this kind of hazards from external sources. And internal sources, there certainly you cannot approach this area. Containment ho gaya, kya karega? That is all also external, another event which comes up, natural events, and it becomes a problem with you people are facing now. These hazards. Internally also there are issues like some area is not available. Some of the projects suffered for years. For some of the approach area or something, project is already made up. Like Vedanta itself is a classic case. The whole the Lanjigad power plant has been made, and they don't have the mine, which was supposed to be mined from the next place. And that mine has been taken up by litigation. Held up by litigation, so this is the greatest hazard they have felt, and that the whole feasibility of that plant is in big question. And it is that is how they are going on, continuing on that. Those who are aware people will know on this subject. Now there are operational risks, which is there are accounting controls is always an issue. We need to be very, very careful on the accounting. How do you handle that the project cost is going up? That's what we are regularly discussing on our monthly reviews and all that. That what is the fixed cost going on? That is the part of the accounting control. And what at the time of budget control and all that, these are operational risks, whether the cost is going up on that, whether even the information of that is coming properly or not for management decision is also an operational risk. Externally is that you require so many people, you require external this one, you require some board resolution. All these are not directly within the organization, but you require this from the environment to make the project successful. So basically, the project risks are categorized as financial risk, strategic risk, operational risk, and hazard risk. Something are internally driven and some other are the externally driven. Okay, in this whole slide, we have not only discussed the basic issues of internally driven risk and externally driven risk, we have also tried to make a list of the various risks that needed to be done. So this slide makes two basic points. One is that basic type of risk that need to be looked at, and also the which is internal and which is external. Okay. Now risk management, what we told, basically this is the same thing as what we told finally on the first slide. What is that? First is identification, then this your quantification, then how you respond to that, how you control the response. That is the cycle. And again, if something you have to go on reviewing the project after every at a defined time. So every standard way of defining is after some time you have a separate discussion. You see, there are various companies which has developed into various methods of risk management, response control. So one of the things some companies have developed, that after every quarter people review only on the risk committee for the entire risk of each project, check the identification of the risk and see the impact and see this one and take an action plan based on revised scenario. So that is a policy which can be thought of. Let us see how we evolve ourselves as a company on this situation. Now this is a basic hierarchy which probably is quite clear as it is a sort of Maslow's hierarchy what people have been reading from HR, and after that what individual person's liability comes in, that what are there is a hierarchy is very standard. One is the operational requirement, and these are at the bottommost, whether operational requirements are going on smoothly or not. That is one part, project and operational risk. And then the program risk. Program risk means multiple projects. Some are supposed to, just the basic definition of program management is multiple projects leading to one single overall entire scope. So that is called program. Okay. Now that whole program, if it is getting impacted, so that becomes a program management risk. Decision, which actually strategic decision is the program. Like what is the India's program? We have to go to the BS6 fuel. So there are so many companies or refineries are taking up steps for making various projects. Hello?
Yes. No, sir. Nitai was presenting his screen.
So there are.
Your presentation is on board or not?
I am able to see. No.
Can others see the presentation? Can everybody see the presentation?
No, not seen the.
No, not visible at all.
My goodness.
Yeah, just now it happened. Nitai, I think, started with presentation.
Okay.
So it got disconnected. Yes, sir, continue. You put it on.
Now it is available? No. Okay. Nitai Das.
Nitai, stop presenting, man. Stop presenting your screen.
Okay.
So once more.
I am going in again.
Sir, presentation mode, please.
Okay, so like that, the what we are discussing, that we are doing various projects in refineries. So they are basically, as a government program, is to change to the BS6 fuel. For doing that, there are all the industries, all the refineries are changing. They are taking up the program and they are changing in various places. They are making the various projects, which is at the bottom level. And they are making the ultimately BS6 fuel available everywhere. So for that is the program. So there should be actions taken to handle the program in time and action taken to do the project in time. So project in time is a smaller activity of individual particular refineries doing this project in what time and all that. Whether it is meeting the overall goal of making BS6 available to India.
So 1 second. Nitai Das, are you there? Can you hear me? Nitai Das, are you there? Can you hear me? Nitai Das, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you respond?
वो निकल जा रहा है. I think he joined now.
निकल नहीं जा रहा है. He's coming in and then he's starting to present his screen. So once more. Sorry for the interruption, everyone. Nitai Das, stop presenting your screen, man. Don't touch on the screen.
It is available now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the decisions which is more important than the individual projects doing is whether we are able to make the BS6 fuel available in time. So that is the program level risk we need to look at. And then the strategic risk. Strategic risk becomes that whether we need to go to at all this one or at what time and all this. So strategic decision is the first decision. And it has got maximum uncertainty involved for many strategic decisions, leads to the program decisions and then to the project and operational risk. So uncertainty is maximum in the strategic risk level So managing the strategic risk is very critical, and then comes the program risk, then come the project risk. Similar is the situation for the coronavirus, what all the governments is doing. What is the strategic risk? Whether to do the lockdown, whether to have this one. So these are all strategic risks people are looking into. Then coming to program, how the whole country will be equipped, then how the individual state will be equipped, how the individual hospital is to be equipped, one after the other. So the strategy, program and the project is the same way of cascading down. That is how it happens. And in case now presently we are doing only project, but risk assessment is happening from the strategic level to the program level and then to the project level. Okay. Something to do with the project risk as such. Project risk is a minuscule portion of the enterprise risk.
This is management level.
This is management level. Just for since we are discussing on the risk, I just put it that. So in project level also it goes into various areas. If anybody is interested on that, there is what is called a CMM level 5 monitoring level of risk assessment and handling. There's a project maturity model. So which goes into the maturity model, which is very different, very large area of operations, much different from the individual project-based operation what we are discussing. We are at the, just for giving a feel, we are discussing this, which is at the bottom of the risk management
Pyramid.
broad plans. We are looking at the bottom. So we understand that, and the bottom looking at that, it is important. So that's I just try to give a feel at this. So what are the risk strategies? Now first and foremost, you now know what are the risks. This is, we have told, these are the operational, internal risks, these are the various external risks, all this we told. Now what to do with that? Now what to do with that is, we have to handle the risk. First and foremost is avoid this. Don't avoid the risk. You have listed, but you try to avoid the risk. That's the first interest what we should have. The next either option is transfer the ownership of the risk. Or kisko de do, you handle the risk. Now third is, you reduce the risk exposure. You reduce the exposure.
Transferring ownership is to the customer.
We will come into details. So these are the possible methods. All the methods we will discuss. So reducing the exposure of the risk. Another is absorb the risk. Risk लेके ही चलना है. Like Corona लेके हम लोग चल रहे हैं. We have to, no other option, somehow absorb the risk and go forward. World has to. No other option, I don't think. Different way of, first and foremost, avoid Corona. Not to stop all international travel. This is avoiding. So all levels people have to do. We go into details of that. Total project risk can be responded, controlled, mitigated by categorizing and distributing the risk among these 4 categories. We initially told what are the risk categories: high risk, medium risk, low risk. That is one. And another is, what do we do with those risks? How do we handle those risks? Those handling process are these 4. Now what are this is the risk response. First we told, these are the risk identification. We discussed what are the risk quantification, that is likelihood into the quantity of the risk. Then now we have come to the process of how we want to tackle this risk. That is the risk response. So these are the strategies of risk. Now we come to the risk avoidance. This involves choosing an alternate course of action to avoid the risk that has been identified, so that the threat can be eliminated by removing the cause of the threat. This action generally taken if the exposure of the risk is not acceptable, or it is not possible or effective to mitigate the risk. How the risk avoidance is done? Tata initially decided to make the plant in Singur then found it is too risky to operate in this place, they avoided it. Okay. And the response of risk avoidance involves actions such as trying to get more and better expertise to avoid the risk, better communication, reducing the scope of the project, trying to use only risk-free proven techniques. So they went to Gujarat, which is risk-free. Though there is problem on getting steel, you see, all the steel gets manufactured in the Eastern Belt. It doesn't get manufactured in Gujarat. Nothing. So there is a lot of transport cost gets involved because car is basically of steel, and there are good. The cost of working in Eastern India is much lower than the working in Gujarat. Water is bloody not available there. Forget about other things. So bringing a change in strategy for implementing the project, quite often this is a fast strategy used to control the risk. This is a fast strategy. Avoid the risk. Any project what you do, first you want to try to avoid the risk. How not to take up. Like today, you get some project in Syria or Afghanistan, somebody accepts it with the risk. Many companies will decide, no, these are very risky places, so you will not work. So they avoid the risk. So people decide on various things. In my previous company, we were strongly working in Ethiopia, and somewhere some other people will feel, Ethiopia is a very risky country, don't even go there. So that is the avoidance people will decide at the initial stage what to do about it. Another is risk transfer. Risk transfer is give the risk to the third party. How? Who is the party? Either you give to some contractor. That is the method by which the EPC project started. Transfer the risk of execution to one fellow who is capable for doing this thing and who is having adequate financial stake or capability to handle, to gulp that risk. Give it to him. Let him make profit if he does the job. So that is one method of risk transfer. The other method of risk transfer is insurance. Very simple method. Give insurance to this. For various risks, you can take insurance against. All the time you take insurance for any health issues or any accident. You take insurance for force majeure. Flood happens and all these insurances we continue to take as a method of risk transfer. So one is, how do you frame the contract? Give the contract to somebody who is competent to take the risk. Execution risk is given. The bankers have started basically due to that. The 10 fellows will execute, you don't know when the project gets completed, and the returns to the banks will never come when a project is getting extended infinitely. And owner's money is pittance, and bank is not getting the return, and the whole viability of the project is gone because of by that time the product which is coming up, that itself doesn't have demand. So that's a big risk. So they transfer it as a contractually transfer and make EPC contract possible. So another is risk reduction or mitigation. It is by reduce the profitability that the risk will occur. Impact of the risk, both you try to see that how much you can reduce.
Sir, there's a good question by Momita Jana here.
Okay.
Does force majeure is insured by any insurance company?
Yeah, it is. It is always against flood, and this is a standard risk. Insurance standard insurable risk. So basically, we can say risk is also categorized in some other form, which is something is a insurable risk and non-insurable risk.
So the COVID situation right now, does it come under the pandemic council?
Your health, all the health policies, there's also another insurance. No, you take health insurance. So for all these health insurance policies, Government of India stepped in and decided that all the health policies will honor the COVID situation. It will not go on the that is your insurance policy.
So we are talking about like this major could be, or force major could be a unending rain or an earthquake. Similarly, a pandemic, can it be taken
It is
as
already part of the force majeure as on time. But as on time, whether we have taken a real force majeure, all force majeure risk under insurance, you need to read the policy, what they are taking. The policy is in detail. Insurance is in policy is in detail. Nowhere probably nobody has taken a policy, or they have bought on the health policies of that, which is honored for the case of pandemic. Then which are the other loss you are speaking of? You see, property is not lost. Insurance pays on the loss, exact loss, what happens. Okay. What is the exact loss? It is not insurance against loss of profit or loss of product. There is also a possibility of loss of profit insurance, etc., etc. That is a policy is also available. As on time in the pandemic, it's a very important point of understanding. You see that insurance pays in case there is a loss of material happened. So that is covered under, if an earthquake happened, your material has perished. So that material will be paid for by the insurance company. Now, in case there is no material loss, then it is a situation of loss of profit, and there is loss of profit policies available. Very few ever take it and covering all these things. I have not seen many fellows taking the loss of profit, but most of the EPC contractor cases, so many times on large projects, people also cover a loss of profit policy. That also I have seen some people doing that. Okay, we go to the risk reduction. Is that we try to reduce the severity of the risk as it is and mitigate on the contingency budget. You see, what we do in all cases, we put a contingency 5%, contingency 2%, 1%, whatever. We put on that 0.5%, whatever. So that is some risk will happen, which is which is not very quantified. So we will try to mitigate those risks. We keep some amount for it. So this is the policy, how do you mitigate, and everywhere we try to reduce this case. Okay. Then point comes the risk absorption. Where nothing can be done, you have no other option but to absorb it. Go with it. Okay. Now the present scenario of coronavirus come like that. You have no further option. So it cannot be transferred, it cannot be avoided, it can only be reduced, mitigated, and a balance of that you have to absorb. That's the situation. Some other response of risk that threats the project, it is just one thing. So you have to, some cases you have to absorb the risk. That is your some cost increase will happen. Probably you have understood that this may get delayed by 2 months or 3 months, and there will be some impact on that. So you have no other option but you have to absorb it, because you have not taken a loss of profit policy for delaying the project. So you have to absorb that. That's the situation. Okay. Risk is transferred, deflected to third party, transfer of ownership, liability. This actually we discussed, no? This is it is a copy of that slide has come, no?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Now that's what we discussed, no? Low, moderate, high, very high. That is how basically the point is put on this case. There is a cost impact. You see, project has this basically what we say, these 3 parts, no? The triangle, what we project triangle: cost, quality, and time. And here in the risk, what we put another one is the scope. Now, this what is the impact on the cost? What is the impact on the schedule? What is the impact on the scope? What is the impact on the quality? All these need to be looked at. Now, which is low, and we need to categorize those. You see that high risk, low risk model, if we go into, then we need to categorize on this, and these are the basic principle for categorization on the high, low very high, moderate level of risk modification. How do you do? What is the percentage we take? So just to give the view that how much percentage of the total schedule impact will happen for that project. If there is a minor schedule impact, say for the water logging for 5 days, there is a minor schedule impact. If there is a flood, this impact is 10% slippage. If there is some riot, there may be 20% slippage. So depending on the project duration and all that. So how do you put it on these scales to make it the categorization proper? So this is once we do the categorization and proper risk management, on entire Excel sheet has to be made, and then we have to make it on 2 levels. So this is a process which just for understanding, once somebody starts doing that as a company or individual project itself, if we start doing that, then we can go into these levels, and this helps to understand and categorization of that. Okay. Now, what are the tools and techniques available for quantitative risk analysis? Now, we have basically discussed the qualitative measure, and quantitative we told that how we can quantify. Another basic first point is take the sensitivity analysis. This is done at the beginning of the project. That means if something happens positive, what is the impact? There is something happen negative, what is the impact? So there is an increase in the oil price. How the impact on your project? There is a reduction, how it is the impact on that. This is the sensitivity. There is an increase in the devaluation of rupee. How is that impacting? So all these cases, we need to make a sensitivity of such variables of the project need to be measured. So this is one as the sensitivity analysis is a basic point that can be looked at. Another basic point, the simple way people look at is the decision tree system, that is called impact analysis diagram. So the decision tree, I think those who have studied a little bit on these various aspect, decision tree comes in picture. No, you make a tree like once it happens, then it does not happen, then it goes and square on the decision maker. I think there are some create a logical tree from left to right. I think the decision tree is a very simple method, which I do not have any decision tree example.
Sir, Google থেকে লিখিয়ে দিন।
Decision tree টা খুব সিম্পল ব্যাপার না? Okay, we just made that. I think there was this one we made. There is a 40% probability of having good weather and 60% probability of bad weather, the rainy season. There is a good weather, there is 80% chance that there will be a picnic will be held, and 20% chance that picnic will not be held in spite of good weather. There is bad weather, only 30% chance that the picnic will be held, and 70% chance the picnic will not be held. A decision tree is for probability of having the picnic. So these need to be made. Probability of having the picnic is the sum of chances happening irrespective of weather. That is 40% plus 40% into 80%. 40% probability of good weather, and in that case 80% chance that the picnic will be held. So what is the decision on that? 40% into 80%. Plus, if the bad weather is coming, which is 30% chance, and there is 60% chance of bad weather. So 60% into 30% of the possibility of that picnic happening. So 40% into 80% plus 60% into 30% comes to 50%. So the probability is 0.5. If you have to decide, then you need to take a call. If there is a maximum probability of 0.65, which is necessary to go ahead with the decision of holding a picnic, then you may drop the idea as the probability is only 0.5. We have to decide that how much probability at this we will take the this direction or take the other direction. First and foremost, we need to decide if the probability is going somewhere more than 70% chance of going in there, then we prepare for the picnic. Then we decide on that. So this decision tree is a model and on which people need to work on that to quantify on the risk. In all cases, the risk quantification by the decision tree model is a good process for going in the post-project scenario, post-starting of the job. That is a good process to continue to measure the risk of each type of risk. So it is, as I told you, it is a basic thinking process what we are giving, but what I am presently discussing, it is a very large model for doing this particular thing, and probably it requires much more people and much more time and effort to be put, on which I have also not been putting that much of time and effort on this particular aspect, because I am also now on every aspect. So that there are experts who are handling only on this. These calculations are available for all projects. Many companies have done this way of analysis. It's pretty simple, and only thing we need to put it, and for every project it can be done. And there will be some hiccups initially, but once we start doing that, we can definitely make it possible for all cases. Now we discuss about the newer critical risks, which are not very, very common. One is the cyber risk. Okay, this has become a big area of problem nowadays. The great Cambridge Analytica happened, and all your information is going. Cyber impact is too high. All intellectual property, software domain is always at the highest risk of the cyber risk. That is also a very big project aspect. As on time, if we discuss on the project management on a general forum, there will be 75% of the people who are doing software projects. So in a general forum, so this is part of one of my class I used to take on the entire project, this one. So there many people were from the software domain, so we had to discuss lot of details on those cyber risk. Not that really that important still now on this kind of project, but there also the importance is becoming pretty critical for doing many projects where a lot of intellectual properties etc. are involved. Then there is a war risk. All these areas that I was telling, that work in Afghanistan, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, are all war risk area. Terrorism risk, now everywhere in the world. Nuclear disaster risk has become a prominent risk under Nuclear Liability Act. Now if you are doing something at nuclear power plant, that's an area of work which possibly we are presently doing heavy water board, which is part of the nuclear facility, which is AEB.
So the recent pandemic is being known as biological warfare.
No, not known as biological warfare. Nobody has so far told that. It is only WhatsApp messages. WhatsApp messages. That's a biological warfare possibility, but nobody has done that as on time. Theoretically, it is not proven. So I don't know. No, anybody has declared biological war. War needs to be declared. You know, has anybody declared?
No, not yet.
So the war is a declared war, and how do you tackle that? Now, how do you assume these risks? What do you do with these risks? We need to understand that also.
Hello, Sani sir.
Sani
sir is here in the training.
Oh, hey, that's great, Sani sir. He will have let us have a war. Then we'll see how it can be. Okay. Now, the war risk is one of the risks which cannot be insured by any insurance company. If there is a war takes place, nobody owns that. No insurance company owns that. Now, terrorism has a risk which has come up as a risk cover. It is possible to take an insurance cover of the terrorism risk. In India, now we can. There is I think only the New India Assurance is taking the nuclear disaster risk, which they have built a corpus of something around 1500 crores for taking the risk, and there is a premium to be paid so that this risk can be assumed by them. So far, this risk was getting absorbed by the operator and Government of India as on time. So as soon as we are going more into the private side, this is going on. Now, cyber risk is a thing which is as on time, I am also not very clear how exactly these risks are covered and not covered. As on time, the Cambridge Analytica case clearly shows there is no much mitigation process. Nobody has even, there is no insurable risk. As on time, this is not even a crime. Cambridge Analytica case has happened in, if you have, there are good movies available on Cambridge Analytica and all that. If those who have not known, you can show somebody has made a complete case against the government of UK for that to get back his identity. Why his identity has been taken back there? My identity and my entire how I have done what, all this data has to be mined. For that, they made a case against UK and against UK government and Cambridge Analytica that this data has to be mined. Then there was no answer. It is not even defined that taking your data is a crime. World is still to take a clear view on this. Now, what we have done as on time on the cyber risk, for all cases, there are security measures. We are trying to reduce and transfer the risk as much as possible. By every bankers take some, you cannot make transaction beyond this, you have to have a OTP, all this reduction and all the kind of 3 levels of check and taking time, all these methods, we are trying to reduce the risk. There is no insurance as on time is available. And this, then it comes the blockchain method has come up to evolve on the cyber security systems. So that is again a very large chapter. After 10 years of time, we all have to go to the blockchain methods to discuss anything happening on contract or anything. That's a larger this one. What risk I told that is not an insurable risk and has to be avoided if possible. Can be transferred. In case the risk only has to be distributed, probabilistic assessment, and this one. Sometimes rewards are too high to refuse. So the projects take off in war zones because they get lot of profit. Any project, there is one company called KEC. The company was in a very bad shape. From there, they just became a solid company just by doing transmission lines in Syria and Afghanistan. So they took that risk and they made profit. Terrorism risk, as I told, is an insurable risk. Nuclear disaster, I told you these risks are available. So that's about it. Now I have put up a question. Before I say thank you, I would like to mention that I have not mentioned the largest risk of all. Guess it and revert. I have mentioned everything, but I have not mentioned what is the largest risk. Please write on the chat box, what do you think, what is the largest risk? Which I have not mentioned. I have mentioned so many things, from nuclear disaster to war to every single thing I told.
Can we have the participants to please comment on it?
Please comment on it, including Saneji and Sarkar Sahab this case.
Sarkar Sahab has left, sir.
সরকার সাহেব উত্তর দিয়ে দিয়েছে, সরকার সাহেব উত্তর দিয়ে দিয়েছিল যে that is not, I cannot tell.
Okay, come on, we need a little bit of participation over here. Whoever is here in the training, can you please
Which is the biggest risk that I have mentioned? I have not mentioned in the whole thing, but that is the biggest risk. If nobody says, then think about it.
then you'll have
Hazard a guess.
Survival is an economics in the economic situation is a risk. Says KKB.
Financial risk I mentioned, Payal.
Survival in this economic situation.
Okay, go ahead. Anything else? Let us wait.
Force majeure.
Force majeure already mentioned.
Already discussed. Okay. Okay. All discussed. That's not correct answer.
Who is here from ABRPL, APL, CPCL, IUCL, BS6, Jamalpur, NRL Civil? Can we have the names and can you please come up participating? KGP Wagon, Haldia Rail Coach, APL Composite. Can we have some of them to please respond back?
What is the biggest risk in your opinion? Then we will discuss how to survive that. The client risk. What Saneji is saying, the clients basically the risk of project environment. Fine.
Shadanda, what risks are did not mention?
And what is the biggest risk? Forget about it. What is the biggest risk? Okay, so I discussed this.
Biggest risk is the time overrun, I think so.
Time. Okay, not at all. The biggest risk is not taking the risk. The first and foremost, the biggest risk that is very risky. So we will not take the risk. Please note, in every single thing, there is a risk. And the biggest risk is not to take the risk. You take the risk and then only you can get the benefit. Please know the word no risk, no gain in front of you before we do the risk management discussion. So if you are here for any gain, please do the risk. Please take the risk. So, and assess the risk. So my whole attempt, the biggest risk is taking no risk. So please take the risk and then assess the risk and prepare for it how to tackle on the risk.
Sir, who is supposed to do the risk management in the organization before the before taking up a project and then during execution and
you see, this is you are speaking in the perspective of woman. If you say the risk is only the execution risk, and out of that the execution risk is to the extent of the money sunk with the specific project. That is the total risk what we have. No other risk.
So who does the risk assessment, sir?
Now, for this risk, first and foremost, the process of doing this, it's a question what should have come from some of the other fellows and not from you. That is what I would have liked to happen. The who are doing projects on that. But anyway, you have already spent on a few project companies, so that's HR.
This is my first project company. So this is my first.
No, even Valchandnagar was doing a lot of projects.
Kind of projects, yeah.
So,
Sarika says no risk.
No,
BD is supposed to do the risk assessment.
Yes, correct. First and foremost, the risk assessment has to be, that is in any case, he has to be, he is a senior person and all that. So it has to be done at the initial stage. There is no way that can be told anything else. This has to be done at the time when we are quoting for the project. At that point of time, risk and returns need to be understood. And then we need to go forward as a continuous process. How in L&T there is a committee which does risk assessment at the beginning of the project. Before taking and accepting the order, the risk committee need to clear it. And then the risk committee clears that, then only the orders gets accepted. Orders acceptance by L&T Anybody gives the order, offer सब हो जाएगा. Order acceptance and starting the job is subject to clearance by the risk committee. And every quarterly, this risk committee reviews the risk.
Do we have a risk committee here? No, no.
As on time, it is a MSME. We need to understand where exactly, how much risk we are taking. L&T is taking huge risks. Individual project is many thousand crores. And without the risk assessment, they will just perish. Their whole way will go. Their entire company's rating and capability of taking money, all these depends on this one. How much they are assessing the risk, and they are how they have to present to the financial organizations that this is my risk assessment, this is how we are doing the project. There's a system. Then only the fellows pay money. There are few Nobel laureates on handling all these methods. Modigliani and Miller principle they started on the share market. Then there's all risk management systems they have been done. The SOX principle what has come on the credit rating of individual companies. SOX is servant SOX slave method. Then the SOX systems has come up for discussing how the individual, then the credit rating and all these things comes. How the company's credit rating will remain. They need to present to the credit rating fellow that this is how I am managing my risk.
Moody's and S&P.
साने जी वो आपके लिए ही है. We are very risky fellows. Design risk तो पूरा ही पड़ा रहता है. Okay. So this
Sane
is just
sir, why
for
aren't you speaking up? Sane sir?
नहीं साने साहब बोल रहे हैं, लिख रहे हैं, अच्छा कर रहे हैं, उसमें क्या? साने साहब बोलने से अभी खत्म नहीं होगा. Okay, I think we have concluded, so we can try to close that because about.
Is there any other questions? Momita, do you have a question?
No, about time was conclusion for 1 hour, no?
No, nothing of that sort, sir.
But why? I have another meeting from 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Sir, wait, sir. If there is a question,
There are
from
10
anybody-
minutes. Anuj DC is to join for this one. DC and Gautam will join. There are 10 minutes still, no problem.
Okay. Okay, so do we have any more questions from anybody? Or we assume that everybody is understood?
Everybody has understood, and this is not relevant to understand. So understand that way. So that is no problem. No, it is awareness issues. Awareness needs to come up. No doubt about it.
And Sane, it's very right that we have to have a risk committee who assesses the risks before the projects are taken up.
That's theoretically correct. And this is being done. Hello, Gautam. Gautam, तुम्हें लिंक का पठाओ सबके.
Okay, everybody,
लिंक मानिए पठाओ.
we are sharing the feedback form in the chat box. Can you please take up the feedback form and share your feedback with us about the training? What did you like about the training? What is other things that you would like us to do more about the training? And of course,
Madam, can we get the slide?
Sure. I'll share the slides.
Okay,
I'm sharing the list of
Okay, done.
Sarup to everybody so that anybody has any more questions can revert back to sir.
Correct. Please so. Okay.
Thank you, Sarup sir.
Thank you. Bye.
It's a lovely time spent learning.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody. So if you have enjoyed this learning session with us, kindly do a quick recap with us that what we have learned today. So what are risks and the origin of the risks, and the pestle analysis of the risks, the different types of risks, the qualitative analysis of the risk, the equation between the risk uncertainty during the various phases of the project, and then the classification of risks of internal and external risks. And thereafter we learned the project risk management, the categories with the how to identify and quantify identify and respond or control to the risks, and then having the hierarchy of risks, and then the risk strategies, whether to avoid them or to transfer them or to reduce them or to absorb them, and then the impact metrics of risks along with the project objectives, and the quantitative risk analysis by sensitivity analysis, by impact analysis, forming the risk decision tree, and finally the new critical risks that are seen in today's business environment, and finally the final risk, which is not taking any risk. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and put in comments in the comments box so that we can understand from you that what are the kinds of trainings that you will need, and we will bring you such trainings related to projects, related to business, related to behavioral needs, the technical needs that you have, and all the best. Thank you for being with us in this journey of learning, and happy learning. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel, and put in comments in the comments box so that we can understand from you that what are the kinds of trainings that you will need, and we will bring you such trainings related to projects, related to business, related to behavioral needs, the technical needs that you have, and all the best. Thank you for being with us in this journey of learning, and happy learning.